Serious people of Reddit, what is the creepiest thing that happened to you while home alone? I got a phone call asking how my TV was holding up. I thought it was just the company we bought it from checking up on it and doing their normal customer support stuff until I was told exactly what channel I was watching. I asked who it was on the phone and they said, "Don't worry, I can see you, but you can't see me." I was 9 at the time and my parents were out of town for work, so my older sister, 17 at the time, got us all to hide in my parents' closet with the guns and we called the police. When they arrived, they called us to let us know it was them knocking on the door. They found footprints but no person. We installed security cameras not soon after and never had a problem again, but it still creeps me out to this day. Holy fug, that's creepy. What's worse is, how did the person know your number? I had a dog that suddenly jumped awake at night and went absolutely apeshit. He ran to the rear of the house, barking, growling, hair standing on end. We're talking full on fight to the death mode here. I tried walking back to see what the problem was, but he wouldn't let me past him, kept blocking my way. I did hear a couple strange sounds like maybe the house was settling, but nothing out of the ordinary. He was acting like whatever he was seeing or hearing was inside the house, not outside. He wasn't looking out a window, he was blocking the hallway to the laundry room and backing up like something was slowly advancing on him. After a while he calmed down, the supposed threat went away. It was probably about 10 minutes of pretty intense growling and barking though. Even after he calmed down, he still wouldn't let me go down that hall until daylight. When I finally did, I couldn't see anything unusual. I still have no idea what set him off, but whatever it was, he was not okay with it. He was honestly acting like he was going to die, but was damn sure taking whatever it was with him. Not long ago I fell asleep on the couch with my dog while my partner was away for the weekend. I woke up at 4 a.m. to him growling and going mental, and I realized someone is walking around the back door, which is a glass sliding door. I can see their flashlight but not a face because the light is shining in on me. It turned out to be my partner coming home early and had forgotten his house keys. I almost shat myself though and felt like I was having a heart attack. My dog did that one night. Barking and growling like the devil himself was in my backyard. I grabbed a cricket bat and went to investigate. What danger was my dog warning me of? A neighbor's cat was sitting on our back fence. We all know the cats at 3 a.m. mean where your cat starts running around the house and making a huge ruckus in the middle of the night for no reason whatsoever. Yeah. All cats do that. No big deal. Well, one night my cat was doing that, and since it was pretty common I just ignored it. Cats do it and it's normal. I was downstairs and not asleep yet, and my cat was upstairs. It kept going for a little while, but I paid no attention to it until I heard glass shatter. I went upstairs to check on my cat and see what broke. My cat was sound asleep. Nothing was broken. It literally wasn't 30 seconds after I heard something break that I stood up and went upstairs, and my cat was sleeping like a baby. When I went to go pick her up, she did that stretch and yawn thing that cats do after waking up from a long nap, and she had obviously been asleep for quite some time. I never found any broken glass. Weird shit. It might not have been inside your house. I've heard 1 or 2 weird breaking sounds that seemed like they were inside my house, but then soon after I found out they were outside. Home alone when I was 10 or 12, somewhere in between there. My parents' house is located in the suburbs surrounded by woods and the golf course. It was a stormy night and my parents went out for dinner. I was watching TV in the living room with my dog on my lap when all of a sudden she jumps up and sprints to the front door barking. She never barks, my dad trained her since she had a very loud annoying bark. I walk over and turn on the outside light to see nobody. As soon as I did this, she sprinted to the back living room by the pool with sliding glass doors and starts barking over there like someone was inside the screened pool area. I run over and turn the pool lights on, empty. I started to get kinda freaked out. She then ran to the garage door barking like she was going to rip someone's face off. I grab a knife from the kitchen and open the garage door to hear the rain and see the main garage door wide open. I immediately shut the garage door and slammed the inside door behind me, grabbed my dog and ran into my room, locking the door and going into the closet. I waited in there what felt like 3 hours for my parents to get home. I told them everything and my dad went outside to find what looked like new muddy footprints around the garage and pool area. Nothing else ever came about from it, but man, I got the chills typing that out. Freaky experience. Good dog. This one kid I went to school with would wait until my single mother went to work, and he would call my house over and over again and also come over and knock on the front door and then go knock on the back door when I didn't answer. He also followed me to and from school until his parents took his car away, so he just walked behind me instead. I am honestly still traumatized from these experiences. Edit, he would also rev his engine at me when he still drove by daily. I think he was just a predator because he also grabbed my ass in the 5th grade in my own home with my parents' home, and he also once offered me a ride home, and after I got in he started speeding and wouldn't let me out, so I jumped out at a stop sign. He also grabbed my hand and put it on his erect boner through his pants. I was maybe in the 7th grade at this time. I grew up in a small town where I was seen as an outcast and I thought I deserved it and that it was normal at the time. I never told the police or anyone about him molesting me, but I really wish I had. People suck. He was a few years older than me but in the same classes in school because he was held back. My parents were too busy dealing with their divorce at the time to notice, and I was too ashamed to tell them. Last fall I started a job and discovered I work with his wife who he married just after he knocked her up in senior year of high school. Life is fucking shitty and weird. It's great. What the F? This happened to my mom. She grew up in Wichita, Kansas while the BTK serial killer was active. The house of one of his first victims was down her block. But one day she was home with her brother, she was upstairs in her room and he was downstairs. Apparently he heard a noise in the backyard moments before the power cut out. This was one of the key things that BTK did before entering the home. She just knew the power went out, then heard her brother scream and yelled for her to run away. She hopped out her window and sprinted barefoot to a Pizza Hut a couple blocks away. She called the police who went to the house but didn't find anything and everything turned out fine. Really quick thinking on your uncle's part. My dog was very restless. But I figured she just wanted to go outside. As we get closer to the door she begins to growl and her hackles raised. Idiot me still opened the door. Hello masked stranger. I lucked out, the guy took off running. Imagine being that guy, the last thing he was expecting was for someone to calmly open the door with their attack dog at the ready. You shook his confidence, lol. I was watching a spooky TV show and it suddenly paused on the cursed item, soon after of which my dog turned to face the television and started to growl. Yeah, we're watching the original Poltergeist film, back in the day when TVs were wide. Our cat was sound asleep on top. The moment the ghost appears at the top of the stairs, cat stands up, hairs all standing on end, and starts hissing. Shat myself. I was staying at my parents' place, sleeping in their bed while they were away, when suddenly I wake up paralyzed while I first heard then saw someone sneaking around. The bedroom door was open. The person, wearing dark clothes, face obscured, eventually came into the room, sat on the bed, and leaned closer, closer, closer. When I was finally able to break the sleep paralysis, the first thing I did was make sure the front door was locked. It was not. When I was a kid I was once peacefully going to sleep in my room in the evening. It was dark already and I was alone when I suddenly looked up and noticed some dark figure sitting on the high shelf at the end of the room with the legs down. In a few seconds I realized it was just a pair of pants hanging from the shelf, but for a moment I was shocked. Another time also as a kid I was home alone in the summer and went to the balcony of my project house when I saw a man in black sunglasses waving at me. I quickly hid and looked at him from the other room's window so he wouldn't notice. He just stood there alone in the street looking at the balcony. So I man up and go back there, and then he calls my name. It was my dad. I was living with my parents, but they were out of town for a couple of nights. I was sitting at my computer with my headphones on playing video games at maybe 1 to 2 in the morning. Suddenly I feel my phone vibrating. I look down and see that someone new has added me on Snapchat, and out of curiosity I accept. I continue playing my game, and when it's done I look at my phone again to see if the person has messaged me, which they had. So I open up the Snapchat and to my extreme horror I see that it's a photo of me sitting at my computer, playing video games. Taken from a good bit behind me with zoom. The photo had been taken maybe just a few minutes before while I was still in the game. There was no caption, no text, no nothing. I immediately go into panic mode and think I'm going to be murdered any second. Now, all the lights were off in the house, so I couldn't see outside of my room because it was pitch black, but the light switch for the hallway is just outside of my room. I sneak out and flick it on but don't see anyone. I slowly walk towards the kitchen to turn those lights on as well, and to grab a knife. As soon as I turn on the lights I hear someone literally stomping up the stairs from the first floor. Very slowly, but very loud, and the lights on the first floor were all off, so it was pitch black down there as well. At that point I just thought, fuck it, and ran outside. Outside I see 2 of my mates, filming me and laughing their asses off. Turns out that when they had been at my place earlier during the day they had devised a plan to prank the shit out of me, and stolen the extra key we kept at home. So 2 of the guys had gone in through the door on the bottom floor, and the other 2 were waiting outside to film my reaction when, if I ran out. Pretty anticlimactic ending to the story. But still, it scared the ever-loving shit out of me. Those guys are lucky nobody there owned a gun or were just more jumpy. Pulling dumb pranks like that can go wrong very quickly. My neighbors were screaming on each other, and after 15 minutes of screaming and talking I heard a shot. Then another shot. In that day, man killed his wife and himself. SRY for my English. A man was standing outside on my lawn about 6 years ago in the middle of the day. Freaked me the feck out. Found out he lives next to my house. Same guy, same place. He knocks on my door and asks me if I've seen his cat. I hadn't and asked what it looked like for future reference. He then looks me in the eyes, dead serious, and says, "I don't know," and then stares at me in silence for 30 seconds. Last story. After a snowstorm, I went outside and saw bare, human footprints leading from my yard to his house up a hill. This guy is freaky. Well, one time when I was completely home alone one night, I heard a knock. Not from a door, but from my window. I live in a 2-story house. I still hear it sometimes. Saturday morning, 1970s. Dad is at work and my mom and sister went shopping for groceries. I was in the bath when the house was broken into. I froze, trying not to make a sound as I heard someone creeping through the house. Then heard them try to open the bathroom door just as the doorbell rang. It was Mom hoping I'd open the front door because her arms were overloaded with grocery bags. She saw a shadow through the stained glass beside the front door go downstairs. I think that was the one time I'd never been happier to see my mom. I was 9. I'm a teenage male of 15 years and I am a Muslim. For those that don't know, we have 5 daily prayers: Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib and Isha. Fajr can only be offered during the time before sunrise but after the sky becomes lit up in the early morning, and this gives you about an hour to pray. Anyways, recently I was home alone when my alarm woke me up at 3:30 in the morning to pray. I went to the toilet to perform wudu, aka ablution, which basically takes like a minute and you need to rinse your hands, face, neck, arms and feet with water. After that I went downstairs and turned the light for my living room on and laid out the prayer mat. Again, I don't want to go too into detail, but offering a Fajr prayer takes around 5 to 10 minutes in total for me and consists of standing, prostrating and kneeling, all while keeping your eyes looking down and not moving around too much while reciting things. Look it up if this confuses you. The way I've explained it makes it sound really weird, but trust me, it's not. I instantly have an eerie feeling before I start the prayer. Just the night before I watched a video on an r/Reddit on scary supernatural events and I was a bit shaken up. My living room is shaped so that there is a TV on one end and on the opposite is a doorway to the kitchen, which is behind me to the left when I'm praying, and it's pitch black because the kitchen lights are off. But I don't know why, something is really off today. But I leave it. The moment I start my prayer by raising my open hands to my ears, I hear a quiet bang in the kitchen. When you begin a prayer you are not allowed to stop for anything except the urgent call of your mother. Don't ask me why, it's Islamic ruling. So I have to continue my prayer for another few seconds after I heard the bang, but it doesn't stop there. I hear a few more strange thudding noises and a whispery sound of wind passing my left ear and then my right. I feel something literally right behind me and it feels cold. This is when my heartbeat goes rapid, the hairs on my skin stand up and my animal instincts are begging me to stop praying and to get the hell out. After starting your prayer, it is standard that you recite one chapter, translated as the opening, from the Quran and then any other that you wish. It just so happened that when I felt the cold touch behind me and windy whispers around me that I finished the opening and it was time to recite a different chapter. Out of sheer desperation and fear I chose one called Al-Falaq, the dawn, and its translation is as follows: Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of daybreak from the evil of that which he created and from the evil of darkness when it settles and from the evil of the blowers in knots and from the evil of an envier when he envies. And that's it. Poof. Gone. I hear a slight creak and everything is normal again. I feel an overwhelming sense of safety and comfort and continued my prayer onwards. Don't know what it was and haven't told my family, but I sure as hell was scared, and I thank God for answering my prayer in that moment. As a side note, I'd like to apologize for all the religious context in this post because I know the guidelines say this stuff shouldn't be here, but I thought without it the story would be really confusing. There's a rotating rooster on the cupola that indicates which way the wind is blowing. Apparently, the rotating rooster needed lubrication because one night during a heavy wind and lightning storm, I heard this grinding sound coming from the attic, as if something was alive and pulsating in the attic. Smelling cigarette smoke at 3 a.m., even when no one at our home smokes and everyone in our block is asleep at 3 a.m.